Daptime, a time dedicated to applying principles that invigorate, motivate, and elevate. Daptime, a time where dope, adventurous people think individually to mutually empower. Full episodes can be found at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on our website at www.itsdaptime.com. Also, follow us on Instagram at Daptime21, Twitter at Dap_time, Facebook at Daptime, and on YouTube at Daptime TV. Be sure to click the notification bell and subscribe. Thank you for your continued support. We're proud to partner with Harrell Eyewear to bring you this episode, makers of stylish and innovative luxury prescription and non-prescription glasses for all occasions. For more information, visit the partner link on our website, or for direct, go to www.harrelleyewear.com. Harrell Eyewear. Never lose your identity. It's time.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of Daptime. I am AJ, also known as B-Dub, Bobby Westbrook, here alongside my partner in crime, the one and only world-renowned Big Dang. And that groove, as always, and always on time, our in-house maestro, Pete Nice. Three of us are delighted to welcome you back for another conversation that we hope makes you laugh, learn something, and live your life a little bit better. Yo, Daptimers, last time we got together, we started talking about, I'm gigging now. I got me a side hustle. We're going to stay right there in the pocket on that. But this time, rather than talking about how side hustles can go awry, we're going to talk about some good things you can do, as well as highlight something I don't think you or anybody close to you knew about. But we're excited to tell you about it in this episode. So sit back, relax. It's now time. Relax your spine. Activate your mind. Let's get it. What's up, Big Dang?
What's happening, bro? What is the word?
Moving? Yeah. Grooving? Yeah. That's where I'm at.
Check and check.
Check and check.
I can dig it.
What's happening with you, player?
Man, I'm blessed, bro. I'm blessed, man.
There goes the tambourine on cue.
That's it. That's it. I think they're getting ready to take up another offering. I think I just got word they're about to take up another offering. So,
No doubt.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I don't know. I'm assuming you did catch some of the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament. If you're like the rest of us, I'm sure you were like excited. Last year we didn't get none of that.
No doubt.
I thought we could kick off this show, even though I know we're going to be moving. And just in case you have not tuned in, Daptimers, in about a week, Big Dave and I are going to be kicking off our sports-only Daptime Sports Show. So you'll get all our sports conversation on that. But since we're doing that still here, I thought we can kick off this show, talk about March Madness. Big Dame, what were some of your highlights from last weekend?
Man, I hate to say it, man. It's like a gift and a curse. I told you one of my favorite parts of the tournament is the Cinderella stories.
Right.
Who knew my Ohio State Buckeyes would fall victim to the Cinderella that is Oral Roberts University.
ORU, yes. So
they knocked us off in the first round, and then they went on in the second round to knock off Florida. So they're in the Sweet 16. That's so far that's the one the big Cinderella story I'm seeing take shape. So
yeah,
most memorable moment.
It's like you. Mine is going to be Abilene Christian. Seeing Abilene Christian come out of nowhere. They never won before. Right. You're looking at them and they win. It was just everything about it was so David and Goliath, right? You have this powerhouse program they're up against, and to watch them really gut it out. It wasn't, they were manhandling them. It was their defense and the way that they played, the style of play. But they had this little guard, man, who's undersized, come and do work and he was just persistent. Like he went 3 times in a row to the hole, get stopped. And the 4th time, it's like, no, I will not be denied. Gets an and one at a critical time in the game. You know what I mean? To your point, it's the Cinderella. It's the story you don't have any ideas coming your way, but it ends up being a moving moment, in the tournament. So I'm with you. The shockers were big. What was the best thing that you saw?
I think one thing I thought was really cool was Loyola Chicago. They knocked off. They upset Illinois, number one seeded Illinois.
And they did it in style.
Did it in style.
style.
But sister, and I can't think of her name right off the top of my head, but they have a sister that she's well known to go.
Like Mary Catherine or
something like
that.
Mary Sue or whatever. But she goes to every time they're in a tournament, she goes. She's in attendance, and it's a big deal. Well, this time there was a big thing with, are they going to be able to get her there? I think she was kind of a little under the weather before the tournament, and then with COVID, do we want to have her there? Do you want to, So
right,
she was there, you know what I mean, and she was able to witness it. So that was kind of cool. I thought
Sister Jean, that's Sister Jean.
Sister Jean, okay.
Sister Jean.
Shout out to Sister Jean. Shout out to Sister Jean for being a gamer.
So my highlight comes from that game too, right? But mine was, and I'm going back and forth with Los during this game on text. It was the center play. It was their center, Krutwig, who is experienced. He's a senior. He's one of two players they still have on that team from the last time they were there. And watching him just do work against Cochran, who, coming in, was a beast. He had manhandled everybody. And so it was kind of the last time I saw them, Illinois had played Iowa, and Cochran wasn't having nothing but success. He was just dogging him, and it looked like, oh, okay, yeah, he's a beast. This dude's unstoppable. But to go in and see a fundamentally sound big man like Krutwig, just from the passing to the footwork and positioning for rebounds, the box outs, to getting his own offense off, just did damage. And I thought, man, this is what makes the tournament great. Is I don't care what school you go to, player, you got to get in there and you got to own your time and your spot. And I thought that Loyola game was also a really, really great moment.
Definitely. Yeah, I thought about you during that game because I thought we had mentioned that one conversation about because some of these smaller schools, Loyola, Abilene Christian, some of these schools, they've got juniors and seniors and sometimes fifth year seniors playing. So they've been in the program for years and a little more experienced in tournament play and things like that. And a lot of these bigger schools, Illinois, Texas, Florida, Ohio State, they've got freshmen and sophomores. So, I think that's what we saw with Krutwig. You know what I mean? Here's a senior. He's been here so many times before. He might not be the standout blue chip guy, but the dude could play ball. And that's what he did. You know what I mean? So,
did his thing nonstop, no doubt.
Definitely.
So with what came out of the first weekend, what are you looking forward to?
Man, I'm looking for. I want to see what Oral Roberts is going to do. Let's see how far Cinderella can dance. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I'm not a hater. They did it, so okay. That's actually my team. That's who I'm riding with now. Oral Roberts. That's what I do, man. If my team is not in it, then I just ride with the Cinderella to see how far they can go. It makes it interesting for me. You know what I mean? So. We'll see.
Wow.
I'm not sure who they got next. They're in the Sweet 16. I'm not sure who they got next. But,
are you? That's a stretch.
I'm not saying I'm putting money on it. I'm just saying I like to be entertained. Let's see how far she can dance. That's all.
I think so. It's funny. My brackets have been basically busted since last weekend. I mean, I still have two teams in it. I have Illinois. Not Illinois, but I have Michigan and Gonzaga still going.
Okay.
And I still think it's going to be hard for anybody to beat Gonzaga. But again, when you actually get, and that's because they got experienced players too. So, it's not going to be that big of a mismatch.
It's funny.
But
go ahead. My bad.
No, well, I was going to say, but like you, I'm looking at a smaller, maybe not smaller, but under-recognized school. I'm looking for Loyola to go to the Final Four, and I wouldn't be mad to see an upset.
I could see that. I think it's funny, though. I think, with Michigan, I think they're the only Big Ten team left. And coming into the tournament, the Big Ten was the conference.
They have like 9 teams in it?
Oh, man. I mean, you figure between
9 of the 10.
Between Ohio State, Illinois, and Michigan, pretty much somebody was looking for all of those teams to go to the Final Four or Elite Eight. You know what I mean? All of those teams were supposed to go far. And in the first round, like everybody's gone. between the first and
Purdue
second
was
round.
supposed to get to at least the Sweet 16.
Purdue was supposed to make some noise, yeah.
Rutgers was supposed to make noise. I mean, the upsets were endless. It seemed like every time you turned on, somebody was getting upset that was supposed to be, go much further than what they did.
Definitely.
And that didn't happen. Keeping it, we're not going to keep it moving yet, but keeping it kind of in the context of March Madness and of the tournament, there was a debate thrown out. You've got the young bloods versus the blue bloods, right? Kind of, so to speak. So you're used to seeing those blue chip teams, Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas. You're used to seeing those teams stick around, go further.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, what we have is you've got Abilene Christian, you've got Ohio, in it.
Mm-hmm.
And they upset, a couple teams. You have these smaller schools making noise. Do you think it's better that way? Do you think having a way? I mean, frankly, the Pac-12 is shocking everybody who isn't on the West Coast, which is another conversation altogether, because I think there's a bias built into the way the media covers things. They love those conspicuous bigger conferences. They don't give the Pac-12 as much love for whatever reason. But the Pac-12 has 4 teams still in it and playing exceptionally well. So it's the Pac-12 and it's the young bloods. Do you think that makes March Madness that much more exciting, or would you rather see Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas, those guys in it?
I've always been one that I mean, that's what I think the magic of the NCAA tournament is I think it's because that everybody goes crazy over it, even people that aren't basketball fans. And I think that's why, because at any given time, any team can get in. And if you get in, you can win. You can win. It's been proven time and time again. Now, your Dukes, North Carolinas, your perennial powerhouses, Kentucky's, more times than not, they're going to be there. But it's not out of the ordinary for an Oral Roberts to find themselves in the Sweet 16. VCU has done it. George Mason's done it. Butler did it. I mean, it's been done time and time and time again. And I love it. Mm-hmm. Personally, I think that makes it more exciting. And I think you can almost count on a 16 seed beating a 1 seed at least once every year. You know what I mean? You can count on it. So, I mean, it's like, I think that makes it so much more exciting, because you can't just take for granted certain things. You can't just take for granted that, okay, I'm not going to watch until the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. No, you better watch on night 1, day 1, because that might be the last time you see them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that makes it very exciting. Definitely.
Yeah, I would love to see it continued. I think it's kind of an indictment against the one and done guys out there, right? Because you have all these schools that go after the one and done guy, but to really enjoy March, to play in March, to me, this year is really kind of a throwback of sorts when you see people like the Crutwigs out there, mm-hmm. who he's been there, and wanted to get back to it. You hear statements like, "Hey, this is one of those things that just gets more fun each round you play." That kind of stuff. The experience of going and knowing I can do this, but when I'm done doing it, if I stay 4 years, when these 4 years are over in college, I'll never do anything like this again. The craziness of what your fans are all about. It's the bracketology. It's all of that creates such a buzz around this season. And any fan of college basketball is paying attention to what you're doing on any given day that games are being played. They're flipping from True TV to TBS to TNT to CBS. They're catching the games where they can catch them. They're texting, they're checking their apps. There's a connection about it. And to your point, when you create the parody that we're seeing now, it's even more fun, right? Because you get these other stories. It's the stories of longtime coaches whose families, when you see their wife and their kids in the stand and they're covering their faces and the drama, it is real theater, man. It's sports theater at its best. And I couldn't imagine if it was the same monotonous narrative that we get every year. Sure, I'm sure it could be somewhat exciting, but I don't think it would be nearly as exciting as it has been.
Yeah, I think it's cool, man. It's funny because when you get down to it, it really celebrates college culture. That's what you're celebrating. the one and done schools, the guys that are one and done, that's great and everything, but they're on a different plane. They've got a different
They
agenda.
are.
They're on a different program. You know what I mean? So, and everybody knows that. But I think when you look at the statistics, statistically, most of the kids that go play college ball are not going to the league. I mean, if you're just honest with it. So this is really cool for them. They deserve to be celebrated like this. The guys that are not blue chip prospects, the guys that might have to go play overseas for a few years and come back and really grind it out if they want to try to make it to the league. And the guys that are just going to, hey man, this is fun for now. And when I'm done, I'm going to go, work in whatever field I got a degree in. They deserve to be, let them celebrate. Let's celebrate their athleticism and let them have the moment. You know what I mean? And because let's face it, John Wall and AD and those guys, when they was at Kentucky, yeah, great, they won, but they have plenty of other moments coming in the limelight. Let's let Crutwig get his time. Not saying he won't go to the league and do anything, but let's let these guys from Abilene Christian have their moment. Let's let these guys from Oral Roberts and any other school, let's let them have their moment, man. Let's let them have their time. I think it's really cool.
So I'll give you one more tidbit from this, and this is on the other side of the winning and losing coaching. I was shocked. Some of those upsets, man. I looked at the coaching. I mean, it wasn't just the players and what they did on the floor. I looked at the poor coaching decisions being made by some of these coaches on the teams with great programs. They were the favorites coming in. It made me question how some of these coaches are ending up in these prime positions.
Well, some of these teams did not have the firepower that they normally have. And so it's interesting when you don't have the talent. I've always said you can gauge a good coach by what he does with minimal talent, right? So, at Kentucky, they had a great thing going. And I'm not saying anybody's not a good coach, but man, when you got every top prospect coming through there every year, it's hard not, you don't have to do much. You don't have to do much, but when you don't, then you got to really, you got to sharpen up your Sharpie.
Yeah, but so I'd heard this discussed a couple of years ago, and I won't mention the school it was in relationship to, but there was a coach who I can't remember what SEC school he was at the time, but he was an assistant at an SEC school, and he ends up coming to another program in another of the Power 5 conferences, and with him came one of the top 5-star recruits, obviously in the top 10. ESPN's top 100, he was in the top 10 of that list. And he brought with him another player. So 2 of the top 10 players came with that coach. And it was said that the relationship was forged while they were on the AAU circuit. And so because that's where one of the players or both of the players wanted to go, ideally, if he was the coach, it was right. I wasn't in the conversation, so I don't know if that was actually what was done when they negotiated contract. But that was a lot of the scuttlebutt, right? What validated that to some degree in most people's minds is that when those players moved on and chose to enter the NBA, that coach moved on.
Okay.
And went to another program in another Power 5 conference. And it made me wonder if some of these coaching decisions that are being made, because of reasons like that, you end up with programs where, yeah, they get you to the dance, but they can't get you, when you face real solid talent with real solid coaching, they're ill-equipped. And I saw coaches, man, of really strong programs ill-equipped to respond when the pressure was on and adjust their game plan. And I look around, I'm like, you got the athleticism. It seems like you got the talent. The basketball IQ seems to be reasonable, except that you can't get these guys to make the adjustments in game to being defended differently, to having to face a different type of offensive scheme than you obviously prepared for. And it didn't seem that difficult. Like as a fan, you're looking and you're like, why aren't you shifting your defense from a zone to man? Like, why aren't, if a fan can see that, why aren't you doing that? Now, maybe you don't, maybe those guys are too slow. Maybe they're going to get into foul trouble if they go man, but it just didn't seem like the coaches could do it. And I'm thinking, you're coaching a team of a Power 5 conference with an All-American candidate who seems lost. That to me was one of those things, right? Dun, dun. And it shined more glaringly because at the end of the game, it's the players who take the heat. The coach, except for in Kansas's case, the coach isn't there taking the heat.
Right. Yeah, I mean, definitely, that's definitely something to look at because, I mean, the coaches, they're playing a different game than the players. You know, everybody's playing their own individual. Everybody has their own hustle going on, right? So some people are getting education out of it. Some people are using it as a springboard to the next. Some coaches are using it as a springboard to the next level or to the next gig. So, I mean, it's everybody's hustling, man. Everybody's hustling.
Everybody's hustling. Love the way you put that. That is true. A big damn good time for us to take a quick segue to our spotlight. We've been spotlighting for the month of March. National Women shout outs as well as nutrition because it's National Nutrition Month as well. So we combine the two. And while we've been looking back, I think we started out looking historically. We looked at what was going on currently in the world, women who have been making their name, advancing the cause currently. We looked at youth and what the next generation is doing to add their voice to the call. But you know, we didn't acknowledge the number one woman, Mama.
Mama Love.
Mama gets a shout out, bro.
Yep.
I was thinking this week, when it comes to nutrition, good, bad, and different, Mama, because she loves you, is kind of your first introduction into nutrition. One way or the other, right? Like sometimes Mama, it ain't gonna be the most nutritious meal, but it's what she got. She's gonna feed you with love. She's gonna provide you with, those extra tips around how to eat. Wash your hands before you eat. Don't touch that on the floor. Put that in your mouth. All those kinds of things that are little tips and tricks along the way. And that Mama doesn't get enough love for that.
No.
So I thought that'd be a good way for us to kind of, as we round out March, to recognize and shout out our mothers for their contribution to what we've learned about nutrition and just making sure we were nourished with whatever they had.
No doubt. Because, it definitely came from Mama. Because Pops, he ain't paying too much attention to what you eating. You want a cookie for breakfast? That's cool. Just don't tell your mama. Will you be quiet while you eat it? Okay. So yeah, Mama definitely got that. She got your best interest at heart when it comes to that nutrition.
No doubt. Big shout out to you, Mama. Thank you.
No doubt.
Keep it live, Big Dame. I'm gonna throw some stuff at you. I like to keep you on your toes. We talk about side hustle. And I really like this. This Junior Bridgman.
Okay.
Junior Bridgman. Now, for those who don't know, we've been on the basketball theme, but Junior Bridgman was a forward/guard in the NBA. Big Dame, I'm going to give you some numbers that I think make this noteworthy. 6'5", 210 pounds, 12 seasons in the NBA.
Wow.
12. 75 to 87. Now, here's another set of numbers I want to throw your way. For his career, 13 points, 3 boards, 2 assists.
Average?
Career average. Okay. That's respectable. Yeah. That's respectable work.
Serviceable.
I'm going to ask you hypothetically right now. Mm-hmm. Would you say that those who, if you were to get 13 and 3 a night, 2 assists, that guy's getting probably 25, 30 minutes a night? Would you think?
Maybe around there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So what would you think what that person would make?
Well, I mean,
for a season,
since you said 75 to 87.
Yeah.
So going back to that time, I would guess probably.
No, I was thinking today. What would you think that person would make in today's game?
Man, today, I don't know, 10, 12 million a year, something like that. Maybe 15.
10, 12 a year for being average 30 minutes a night.
Yeah.
So Junior Bridgman, 12 years, gross number, 380,000
per year.
No, total.
Over the 12-year period.
380 grand for 12 years of work.
Wow.
His average salary works out to about 31 grand a year.
Wow.
31 grand a year.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna throw another number at you. So those were a lot of numbers to represent a 12-year career, obviously.
Right.
Right. I'm throw one more number at you. Junior Bridgman is worth $400 million today.
Okay. So Junior must have found a great penny stock to invest that $31,000 a year in or something.
His $400 million, all off of, drum roll, his side hustle.
Ooh wee. Okay. Do tell.
Boom. So Junior Bridgman spent one of his, I think, early off seasons working in a Wendy's, not in the Wendy's corporate office, but on the fries, flipping burgers, mopping floors,
Washing lettuce.
working it, washing lettuce, cutting the round edges off the burgers and making them square patties.
Gotcha.
He did his gig on Wendy's. So Junior did that because it was important to him to know it from the ground up. And by I think third season of off-season work, he bought a Wendy's. He actually bought 3.
Okay.
And he grew those 3 to 40 by the time he finished his career.
Wow.
Grew those 40 to become the largest franchisee for Wendy's and Jack in the Box worldwide.
Wow.
Junior Bridgman, side hustle at its best. So I want to give you that and just see what your thoughts were. What comes to mind for you? And I know we're not in our deep side hustle, but I thought this was a good segue. So tell me what your thoughts are.
Yeah. Well, actually, he also, just not to shortchange him, I believe he also has 120 Chili's franchises as well, nationwide.
Chili's?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he diversified his portfolio, so to speak. But no, I think that's dope, man. I think the coolest thing about it to me, and this is something that a lot of times, and we'll get into it later, but when you talk about a side hustle or hustle, main hustle, whatever, just a hustle, I'm not talking about go hit the clock, nothing wrong with that, but I'm talking about a hustle where you got to go get it, you got to figure it out, a hustle. The thing about that I think people don't get is you have to take the time to invest in yourself. And him going and saying in the off season, no, I'm not going to go party. I'm not going to take this massive amount of wealth, this $31,000 that I've amassed this year. I'm not going to trick it off. I'm going to go to work, And so, and he was thinking to the future. So he's thinking like, I think I might want to own a Wendy's. Let me go work at Wendy's. Let me go wash the lettuce. Let me flip the burgers. Let me drop the fries. Let me see how they works. Let me work the register, deal with the customers. So, a lot of times people don't realize when you do something, you can go without, you can sacrifice, you can do something. You don't work a job you don't want to work, but as long as you know why you're doing it, I think it's a very powerful thing to do. If you're just doing it, if he just was going to Wendy's because he just wanted to supplement his income, that's different.
Right.
But the fact that he was doing it as a means to an end, I think that's powerful. That's powerful. And no, he couldn't have got that out of any book. You know what I mean?
No, that's the thing too. And you and I were just talking recently about we listened to the message that TD Jakes had done a couple of weeks ago when he talked about living for something greater than yourself. Mm-hmm. And I thought this was a fantastic example of that, right? Because you cannot be. I mean, now I think you discover he owns Ebony or part of Ebony or something like that. And here's a guy who obviously was motivated by something way bigger than. Let me just make some money. And I always remember, Los's older brother was drafted into the NBA. And I remember asking him, man, you got drafted by the Jazz. You didn't want to go play? He was like, no, man, I dribbled for an education. And it was just a profound response to it, right? And I think the assumption is, and we saw this actually with the NCAA tournament this year. They probably have done it before, but I never paid attention. But this year I noticed a lot of ads where, they got the name of the person and you see them in their profession. And it's a reminder that they were a student athlete. And so people go on to be professional in something else and excel. And I think that's Junior, right? Junior dribbled to a place that is very respectable as an NBA veteran. those numbers are not numbers you're gonna roll up on a humbug.
Right.
But his mindset was, I'm working for something greater. And I think a lot of times, even well-meaning pundits criticize players without really knowing what are they really after. You and I have joked about Johnny with Kyrie. And, here's a guy, for all we know, Kyrie just is gifted. And he's like, man, I'm dancing on this basketball court. But, being the best dribbler ever is not what matters to me. It's what I can do away from the game, for all we know, right? And it would be worth the conversation with him to find that out. But I think Junior serves as a wonderful model of somebody who has lived it at its best away from the game. And I think the money he's made, he made a tenth of his overall wealth in 12 years as an NBA player.
Right. That's crazy. That's crazy.
He made Tide money playing in the NBA.
Right.
That's it.
But don't despise small beginnings, though. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's the thing, man. And a lot of people would have got sucked into not even the money, just the fame and limelight that comes with being able to say I'm an NBA player, right? So that can get you in a lot of places that they can't get, that other people can't get into. So the fact that he was able to keep his focus and had a plan and was able to work that plan speaks a lot to his discipline.
What do you think it is? I mean, do you think it's the size of salaries now that keeps guys from, and maybe I shouldn't even say that, because I'm sure Junior didn't end up with $400 million the year after he retired.
Right.
But do you think this is still happening? Do you think guys that we talk about that, 1 year you're like, oh man, he came out of college too soon and he kind of falls off and you don't see him anymore? Do you think those guys are doing some similar things with their lives away from the game? Or do you think it's just like, hey, I don't have to work, so why work?
I mean, I think it all depends. I mean, I think now, with the money that some of these guys are making now and have been making for the last several years now, that's definitely out there. I mean, there's guys, I think Jamarcus Russell's still getting paid by the Raiders. He played in God knows how long.
Don't remind me. Do not remind me.
But he doesn't have to work if he doesn't want to. I think, I think of Jamal Mashburn. He went on to get into the car dealership game.
Chick-fil-A? Oh, yeah, it's cars.
Dealerships, but then he branched off into restaurants as well. It might be Chick-fil-A, I'm not sure. But he's amassed a nice portfolio of businesses for himself. And really, I saw him in an interview one time, and he was talking about how challenging, how competing in the business world became his new thrill. You know what I mean? When he stopped playing, he had a respectable college and pro career, respectable. But he said when he got into the business world, when he was done playing, it was easy for him to walk away because he had something else to walk away to do. You know what I mean? He wasn't just like, what am I going to do now? So I mean, it's still happening. And I'm sure he didn't make what these guys are making now, but I'm sure he made millions of dollars playing ball. But he understood that, it's not just about the money. It's about impact. It's probably about legacy to him. It's probably about and having something to do that's worthwhile. So he found a passion and he ran with it. So I think it still happens. I think guys still are doing it. But yeah, there's so much money being thrown around now. I'm sure it's very easy to say, you know what, I'm gonna buy this laundromat and just let it pay me.
I would come and drop off coins, pick up coins, drop off coins, pick up coins.
Car wash, So yeah, I definitely think that still happens.
I several months ago, baseball great Hall of Famer Joe Morgan passed, and we noted that Joe Morgan had a Wendy's and employed people. I think there was a time, and I certainly recall it this way, where the black athlete especially, you noted their footprint in the community. You noted their presence, and it seemed like it was a big deal. It mattered to the black athlete to be seen, be visible, be present in the community, and not in the community draped, iced out, with the
right,
the biggest rapper, but really in the community. And that doesn't mean they didn't show up at Lady Esther's Soul Food and had a picture on the wall. That was there too, but to just be in the mall shopping or just be in the grocery store shopping or have a shopping center named after them.
Mm-hmm.
That was big. And I think there was something about the inspiration you got and the sense of connection and pride that you had knowing, man, I just ran into Clifford Wright in Eastmont Mall, or I just saw Reggie Jackson on Broadway. You know, I mean, just that kind of stuff mattered. You know, or is that Ricky Henderson driving down 98? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, oh yeah, it's Mom. You know, I mean, that those things matter. I don't know. I mean, maybe it happens, but I don't know that that still happens the same way. I think we associate our athletes with such glamour, you know, that it's like, and you can connect to them through the social media, that I don't know that we have the deep tie connection and the thrill of it as we used to. I bet it would matter, but I don't know we see it if we see it as often.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one, man. I think it's a different day and time too. So I mean, I think that's, you know, when you talk about the athletes of that generation, a lot of them were literally one generation out of the struggle, right? So daddy probably worked 2 jobs, you know, worked his fingers to the bone most likely. Mama may have been cleaning houses or whatever she was doing to make ends meet for the family. So I'm sure a lot of those guys, you know, you come into the game in the 60s or 70s playing ball, you know, you understand what it's like not to have. So, you know, okay, great. You gave me this $31,000 a year, but I'm so concerned about going back to having nothing. That's too close to having nothing. So let me
Right.
let me figure out what else I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of the athletes in the 70s, especially, when I look back and kind of look at who played and what they did with themselves, a lot of them just kept working. A lot of them had to work, for one, because they
Right.
weren't making the money. And I think that they just never lost that workman-like mentality. You know what I mean? Whereas, you know, as with anything, the more you get, you know, the hungrier guy in the room is usually going to be the hardest working guy in the room. That's usually how it works. I mean, and when you show up to work and your belly is full and you ain't been late on a payment ever, and everything you got is paid for, you can pay, you know, you can do whatever you want to do. It's just, it takes a special person to be able to still pull that passion out. You have to really be passionate about what you're doing to still work as hard as somebody who doesn't have.
Well, and the world is different in so many ways now too. And I agree with you. I think it is different. Work is a different demand. I think people get exploited, but you know, we go back and look at that 10th of his overall net worth that he made in those 12 years. $31,000 a year in 75 could buy you a duplex cash.
Right.
You know, like, you give me the receipt, and you're starting to make money off that then. You know, I mean, it's just what he invested in overall, what he could have invested in, what he may have invested in. Like, it's just, the opportunities are different now. You know, 31 grand, man, you can't, I mean, you can buy a serviceable vehicle that's going to be reliable for you.
Can't do
You
much.
know,
Can't do much with 31 grand, man.
no. And by the time tax gets, that's what I'm saying. Like, the world is really, like, it's changed, man. And I think this idea, and I love that we're talking about it the way we are, because he lived for something greater. He understood that he was too close to nothing to kick his heels up. So he had a side hustle that produced something greater. But I think the side hustle produced greater because it was for more than just himself. It was about the people he could put to work. It was about the impact he could make in the community while amassing wealth, which let him not be comfortable with 3 Wendy's, but to grow that to 40, to grow that to being the international largest guy. So I think all those elements were factors. And I think that's a great way to kind of bridge and segue into our feature conversation about side hustle, because I really want to get your idea about the way that people should be looking at this, that maybe they aren't, and maybe some are, and we need to catch up if we are not. So let's take a quick second, recognize Daptimers. We are proud to partner with How We Feeling. You know, they are in a whole new phase. Big Dame, I got the text last night from Scotty. It is about to be rolled out in any day now. Could be tonight, could be tomorrow. But it is looking phenomenal. So listen, we are encouraging you downtimers to get over to their website. How are we feeling? It's an authentic social media platform for engaging in conversations around the journeys that you were taking in our lives, but to do it with people who are going where we're going, who are interested in doing what we're doing, but can help us navigate the obstacles and pitfalls that we might find along the way. Everybody's got a story. Just change the way you share yours online today. Visit www.howwefeeling.com. The Big Dame got me a little hustle now. Got me a hustle, so I'm gigging. The gig economy, that is where the world has moved to. Have you heard that term before?
Okay.
The gig economy. So we are moving to a gig economy where people are
I have not. That's the first time. Gig economy?
They're getting gigs. No. So whether it's cleaning houses, or I'm a handyman, or I do yard work, or I'm an Uber driver, or a Postmates driver, or a DoorDash driver, it's all these different gigs that I can control my time, my freedom, and my flexibility. I control my price and my worth, and I can get paid more rapidly and frequently than if I work for a large company. And so, what seems like it's a small pocket of society used to just be the taxi worker, right? Or used to be, day labor that was working off the books. You have all these people who are leaving or have left big jobs or jobs in corporate America to go and become members of the gig economy. That is what the side hustle has become now. So last week we talked about somebody who took it too far, right? She took it too far, right? Mm-hmm. But in that, I mean, you've got people who turned they've made social media a side hustle, right?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
They're making so much money. So I thought we could talk about maybe some side hustles that people could or should be considering as a viable way to do kind of what we've seen done by Junior Bridgman. Work for something bigger than yourself.
Right. So I think everybody, unless you're independently wealthy or you're in a career that totally fulfills you, I think everybody else should be looking into a side hustle, for one. For two, I think there's just too many ways to achieve a side hustle these days. Used to be that a side hustle was go get another job, right? Actual job. So you work your main job, then you change clothes and you go to your night job. That's your side hustle. Now, like you said, you can control your time. So you can deliver for Uber Eats and, just pick up when you want to, or not. If you're tired that night, don't. If you want to, go ahead, make yourself a little money, or Uber or Lyft or whatever. So that's kind of my feel on it. I think, I just really think that it's important to, if you're going to do that, I think you have to be focused on what you're doing it for and why you're doing it, because otherwise the money's coming in and might be going out just as fast as it's coming in. You know what I mean? So if you want to buy a house and you're like, I need to pick up some extra money, be focused, have a plan set forth. Junior didn't just go in there and flip burgers and then just go. I mean, I'm sure there was a plan in his mind. He had take the time yourself to formulate your plan. So you can work it out however you choose to work.
So do you think that?
I definitely think side hustles are.
Let's take
pretty much a must.
An Uber or Lyft driver
these days.
By the way, I am proud to announce I wanted to know more about this, so I'm now a DoorDash delivery driver on the side. I haven't done my first delivery, but I went through the process of signing up. It was easy to do too, man. Like I literally went on the app. You fill out some information. Of course, they got to get your driver's license, all that stuff. But I mean, in essentially like 20 minutes, I'm ready to go. Like I get a text like, "Yo, you ready to do your first delivery?" I'm like, "Not today," but
done. And now, but think about that though. Now that's a little bothersome to me. It's a little bothersome to me. I know you, so that's cool. But if I don't know they don't know who you are, and you coming to my house to bring me A quarter
I tell
pounder
you
with
what, though, if I'm
cheese,
your
large
DoorDash delivery
fry,
driver
and an
and
orange
I
soda.
walk up with a quarter
I
pounder
don't
with
know who
cheese
you
for
are.
you,
I don't
you
know
got
if I
some
like
questions
that
to answer,
process.
buddy.
But anyway,
Like, what's up with the veganism, brother? When you get back on this beef and pork.
right.
He knows me. He
And I
knows.
bet all the fries on the bottom of the bag will be gone.
Um,
So, but
no, you're right. I think that popped up in my mind as I'm going through the process. Like, man, this is easy. I could be anybody, but but I mean, of course, you get to some points where you got to do some verification. However, my main thing was for me to go through the process and
right.
see, okay, in about a half an hour, I can assess between Postmates, Uber Eats, and DoorDash. Um, which one of these would I rather do? And oh wow, okay, if I wanted to do something, I can factor in pretty quickly. Wow, what kind of budget? Oh wow, how's it going to
Mhm.
impact my budget if I make this money? Right? Is it worth it? I can do a time assessment and all this other kind of stuff. Right? Is it worth it? And so it got me thinking, like, man, if you can do this, how do you make a decision on the other potential side hustles? Right? I know a
Mhm.
guy who's an engineer. Um, he's got a pretty sizable gig, so his salary is probably close to, if not over, 200 grand a year for his main gig. But he likes taking pictures and he likes traveling. And so within his core budget from his job,
Mhm.
he didn't want to have to
Mhm.
create a separate budget for his travel stuff. And so he took a class over I think he said 2 summers. So his
Mhm.
vacation this summer, this really intense 2 week photography class, got great at it. This was early in his career. And so on weekends throughout the year, he's doing weddings and birthdays and, graduation pictures as a hobby, right? He's a freelance photographer. All the money from his freelance photography funds his photography habit and travel. And he's like, man, I make so much money from it. Like the trips I take, he said, I've got trips lined
Mhm.
up for the next 5 years and the money's already put away because I got good enough that, I can do 2 big events in one weekend. I'm never bored. And he's like, he in the middle of it, he tells me, idle hands, devil's workshop, like, oh, or
Wow.
idle minds, devil workshop. He's like, so I'm never idle, but I'm doing something I love at the same time.
Mhm. Right. That's cool, man. I know a guy that was on the side hustle trip long ago. He started doing this in like it was early 2000s maybe, but he was photography, but he got on it. Things weren't as digitized as they are now. He had a little digital camera, but what he would do, he would go to like the clubs and he would work something out with them. They'd let him come in and set up. Um, and he'd set up and he had his printer right there and he'd take the picture. He could print your picture off right there. So all it take after a few people see their picture,
Right.
and then he could put all kind of cool stuff, make it a magazine cover or whatever. You know how that used to be like in 2000, 2001. People was eating it up. As soon as they would see
Well,
that,
it's even
everybody wants one,
no, and
right?
it's easy
So,
now because
yeah,
and I found
photography is
this
a
when I was
great
looking at all the
side
different
hustle,
side
great
hustles. Like
side
if you
hustle,
love taking
and
pictures,
not
dude,
too
there's
expensive to get
sites
started.
where you can take your pictures and upload them, and people can now download. You can charge people, okay, hey, it's $3 or it's 99 cents or whatever, but you can
Mhm.
share your stuff and start putting it out to the world for value. If there's a guy on Instagram, I found him actually on TikTok, and this dude sells his services as a photographer by doing these
Mhm.
really cool photo shoots, but he videotapes them, speeds it up so you can see kind of
Mhm.
what he's creating. So you see his assembly and you're like, what is that going to be? And then you see the angles he takes the pictures.
Mhm.
You're like, wow, what's it going to be? And in 45 seconds, by the time he's done, he sends you see the finished photo and you're like, oh, this dude is super creative. Well, he's boosted his followers up. So his followers are in the 800,000 range. And he's got
Mhm.
his Instagram link on TikTok and he's got his YouTube page. And, so I'm like, leading to another gig. People are loaning themselves out as instructors. You know what I'm saying? And I guess the point being, like, anything you love, or what you're going
Mm-hmm.
to get the most
Mm-hmm.
fulfillment out of
Yep.
in your side hustle, that should fuel your decision on which one you choose. It shouldn't be that people think, oh, well, I'm gonna be an Uber driver, I'm gonna be DoorDash driver. Like, you can get out here and apply yourself, and in about 90 days be making some meaningful income doing something you really love in your free time.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's a matter. I think it's a matter of. I think your only constraint is your mind or your imagination. You know
Right.
what I mean? So I mean, you can do. There's probably 100 different ways you can make money legally. uh, but you have to think outside of the box. You know what I mean? But now with social media and all the tools we have at our disposal, there really is a shift in how the world is today. You know what I mean? It's shifted, and the power is kind of in the hands of the individual
So
if
I,
you're willing
I,
to
I
put
would
in the
ask you
work
this
and if you're willing
question.
to think outside of the
I don't
box
necessarily think
and
we're
put
headed
yourself out there.
towards
You know?
a dystopian society where we'll be like on the last train, or the ice train, or the coal train, whatever the thing was where people were on the train. That was recently the show. Remember, it was like, oh, snow train, Snowpiercer, whatever it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't know we're headed for that just yet, but I do think that so much of what people do today
Oh,
or have
Snowpiercer.
been
No, no,
doing
no,
is
no, no.
becoming automated, and I think people will have to find a new way to find value, create value, um, because I think some jobs are going to go away, frankly,
Mhm.
in 3 to 5 years. And so maybe part of what I think has been motivating me on this topic
Yeah,
for our
I
audience
agree.
is it's better to do this, as Mr. Perry would say, prepare for war in the time of peace. It's better to do stuff when you have the opportunity to do it and it's your choice, rather than to be forced to do it. And
Mm,
to discover your love while you can. And and I think when it comes to the side
right.
hustle, reminding ourselves that it's in our DNA. It really is built in there. Um, that is what most of us didn't grow up with a silver spoon. Most of us didn't grow up with a copper spoon.
Mm,
you know, some did not have a spoon. It was a spork. Um, so so
right.
while you have the time, like, it's important to step back, think about
Right.
what you
Right.
enjoy. You like watching kids for people. There's a babysitter app. You passionate about cleaning houses. You can sign up on, what is it called? It's Handy. There's a Handy app, and people can book you, and you can start cleaning people's houses. There's TaskRabbit. If you're handy with stuff around the house, I like fixing fences, fixing cars. Take a picture, put your services, put a rate, and bill yourself out in the time that you want. I'm just encouraging, and I think that's what we are both in agreement around. People should find a side hustle and make it a priority part of their life. Because they may find rewards that are greater than they anticipated, like Junior Bridgman.
I
I
think
do
one
now.
thing to keep in mind is that millionaire. Did you know millionaires have a minimum of 7 streams of income? Most of most most of us don't think like that. You know what I mean? But like the average. Now that's average. That's minimum. Some have 10, 20, 25 different streams of income with investments and different things they have going on. So that's really what the game is all about. Finding as many ways to have money funnel into your pot. You know what I mean? That's really in essence what you're doing. And I think it's interesting that we've been programmed for so many years
Right.
to go to school, go to college, get good grades, acquire debt. Meanwhile, while you're at college,
Not
get good
Tiger.
grades, and then go tackle the world, Tiger. Right? With all this debt that you just acquired at your young age. And I mean, that's how they gas us up, man. And then you get out there, and then you work for us for 30, 40 years, and then we'll give you a watch, and you retire, and you ride off into the sunset. And that's not even happening now. Today, that narrative has changed. Go to school, get debt, go work for somebody, but they're probably only going to keep you for about 5 years if you're lucky. because the next young crop is coming, or your job is going to get phased out. Like you just talked about, in 3 to 5 years, there's going to be jobs that go away. It's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen as we continue to grow digitally as a society. So I think it's interesting that that is the narrative. Meanwhile, what's actually happening is something completely different. So I would, that's my thing to people. Like, think for yourself. Like I always say, think for yourself, because although that's kind of what's been portrayed for years, it might not be the best scenario for you. You know what I mean? I think everybody should be thinking about, how can I get to 7 streams of income? Period. I mean, and that could be investments. That could be your regular job, Uber. Because see, a lot of people, we get another job and it's like, I got another job. I'm just going to work that job, quit this job. Can you work both? That's 2 streams right there. Now you throw Uber in, there's a 3rd stream. If you got some investments, that's a 4th stream. Now you cooking with fish grease now, So I mean, it's like, we really got to start thinking like that, because at the end of the day, we have 24 hours in a day, right? It's just up to you how you whack them up. I mean, you got to, okay, you need your sleep time. You need your, family time. And what are you doing with the rest of your time? You know what I mean? I think if we take an audit of our 24 hours, some of us might be surprised at what we're doing with some of our time. And that's a personal question. Everybody has to answer for themselves. But I think if you find that you have,
I think the other key time, there is if
find a way
you
to make
start
it count,
understanding from the very beginning that you're working for something bigger. I don't dare believe that when Junior Bridgman was given a spatula and told how to flip that burger, that he was like, this is it right here. This is it. This is the I didn't arrive at the Mecca, right? This is not it. I think he had to remind himself, there's something more. And your first step or entree into a side hustle might not be where you're trying to go, but it's a step towards where you're trying to go. And I think, I really bought into that message a couple of weeks ago. Just, you got to work for something bigger than you. It can't just be, your wealth is important, but your wealth shouldn't just be about you. It shouldn't just be looking at your bank account like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. It should be about what you're leaving as legacy and what that means to you or to your children or to your children's children, right? Just kind of putting all that in perspective. So I think you're onto something. I think it's something that we have to prioritize. And I think we have to remember that it goes beyond simply the job or the task, because this task might lead to the second task. This one might lead to stream number 2 to stream number 3 to stream number 4. And that's how we end up creating multiple streams of income. And so while one might net you $500 a month, this one over here is giving you $1,350, and this one over here is giving you $2. So you kind of piece it together, and before you know it, man, the way that they're falling, you're never broke, and your futures are bright, and the future of those that are coming behind you is even brighter. So, with that, Big Dame, definitely want to take a pause to recognize one that's coming up behind us, and she is well on her way. It's Samira Jacobs, founder and creator of Diversify, and her mother, Sabumi. The two of them have built an amazing product and brand in Diversify as a bath and beauty solution that is all organic, all natural, no synthetic oils and no chemicals. So visit their website, www.diversify.com. Check out everything in the catalog, order yourself something. In fact, get you 3 of everything and share with others around you. Everything's under $10, but at a minimum, support this 12-year-old entrepreneur as she sets out to change the world, one bath bomb, one sugar scrub at a time. All right, Diversify 2R1. Big Dame, I know you got some Dap DNA for us, so I will turn it over to you, brother.
Welcome to the principal's office. You're probably used to the principal's office being associated with trouble, but this office is a little different. In this office, we examine life's principles that can hopefully move us to a higher elevation and vibration. Today's principle: live your life's purpose on purpose. Live your life's purpose on purpose. Now, this is kind of taps into what we were talking about with the message that we heard last week or whatever. But living your life's purpose is one thing. Everybody, everybody wants to find their purpose. Some people have found their purpose. Some people are searching for their purpose, what have you. The problem is our purpose is in all of us. Whether you know what it is yet or not, it's there. What a lot of us don't do is purposefully live it out. Be very deliberate about living it out. What Junior did was, his purpose was a purpose of to be in business. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's providing for a lot of people, and he's provided a lot of jobs, and his family as well is set based on the work that he did. However, had he not taken a deliberate effort to go after that, had he rested on his accolades as a national basketball, player, NBA player, he could have just rested on that and said, I'll tell my grandchildren one day that I played ball, and that'll be enough. No, he took it upon himself to go out there and work at a Wendy's of all places, not because he loved flipping burgers, but because he had a purpose and he had some burning desire in him to use his talents and expound his wealth off of the court. He knew he wanted to own a business. So he was deliberate in that. He lived it out on purpose. And so that's the other thing. It's one thing to find your purpose, one thing to search for it, one thing to wonder what it is. But the thing about it is, if you're not deliberate about it or not purposeful about how you live it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's just sitting there. You know what I mean? It's not being used. It's not bringing any value to your life. So, as we all go through and we're all trying to figure it out.
I think that
whatever you do, make sure that you live.
You may have a bunch of people say, "Well, what's my purpose?" And I think that's the funny thing. It's not that hard to find. Your purpose, it is going to be really close to that thing that you are unable to shake, that you're drawn to. Now, if what you're drawn to is crack cocaine, that is probably not your purpose. Being high is not your purpose. Your purpose is to get into rehab, right? Right. But I think if you find yourself, really
you need to find another purpose,
serving other people. Right. You love to see, single mothers' needs met, or you love to see the elderly when they don't, when they're supported and cared for. It bothers you when you see elderly people not taken. Like, there are all these different things you can do in those spaces. So I would say, first of all, figure out what it is you're passionate about, what you can't shake. And then live, as Big Dame is saying, deliberately in a direction to satisfy that. Don't let that be an accidental discovery,
Absolutely, bro. A lot of times, things, what will happen with the purpose, and just to add on to that, is it'll unfold for you. Like, it's like an onion. It'll start peeling and opening up, and different things will present themselves to you. But so, like you said, if it's something that you love to do, if you love to serve people, if you love to help people out, if you love to do things for single mothers, whatever it is, deliberately do that act. You know what I mean? Go volunteer at a soup kitchen, or pay it forward in the line at the fast food place, anything, but make a deliberate act towards that purpose. And watch things start to unfold for you.
Big Dame, I can't thank you enough for that DAP DNA nugget. Pete, nice for being so eloquent with the groove and steady on time. Just never misses the one. Appreciate the groove, man. But the three of us, most of all, appreciate you, Daptimers, for taking time to tune in to yet another episode with us and another conversation. Listen, we encourage you to do it every time we get together. Get on over to YouTube, check us out, send 10 people to come and join you. When you see us on Daptime TV, hit that notification button, subscribe, and share it with 10 others. We're trying to create a movement with the conversation. Get your voice in there as well. Leave us a note once you've checked out the show. Let us know what your thoughts are. If we miss something, we'd love to hear from you. If you just want to add your story, you can go onto the website, www.itsdaptime.com. Drop us an email. Promise we'll get back. If we select your story to be something that we include, of course, with your permission, we'll send you a virtual DAP pack with a few gifts and trinkets in there as well. Visit the DAP shop. Got a lot of good stuff there for you as well. You just click on that link from the webpage and you'll see a lot of stuff there that you can get caught up with as well. But if you don't do any of that, We're on social media all day, every day. Well, not all day, every day, but we're on there every day and sharing. On Twitter, we can be found at Dap_time. On Instagram at Daptime21 and on Facebook at Daptime. But whatever you do, remember, when you wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror, there is your competition. We out.